All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of the Balk Dynasty Baseball League podcast. You can see here Andrew and I are back, and we have two more members of the league joining us today, Eric and Kyle. Eric, Kyle, I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves. Feel free to talk about personal or professional or fantasy background, wherever you want to take it. Eric, I'll let you start.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name's Eric. I live in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, which is on the West Coast. Big, huge sports guy. Huge sports guy. That's what I basically live for, except for my family, of course. Married, got a daughter that lives in Ontario. I basically work in oil and gas, so I'm away for 1 week at a time and home for 1 week. So I enjoy my week off at home as much as I can. I got a pretty sweet setup downstairs for my sports room. I got 5 TVs on the go. So on multiple baseball nights and hockey nights and football nights, it's a pretty steady burst of sports anyways going through my head. You'd be surprised how tired you are after watching 5 games in a row. So still working on finishing up down there. I got some jerseys and stuff. So besides that, I've been doing fantasy football mostly for, I'm going to guess, maybe about 15 years now. Started Dynasty football maybe 8, 9 years ago. And then, let's say 5 years, I've been doing Dynasty baseball, but not on the Dynasty part. Sorry, not on the, I've been doing baseball redrafts, but not on the Dynasty part. So this year is probably my first year where I've been doing a lot with the prospects and all that stuff. And I'm telling you, it is when we were doing the on bench warmers, the draft and
Yeah.
stuff for the prospects. I was like, oh my god, don't know have a clue who half these guys is. I thought I was set up and I was ready to go, and I got overwhelmed so fast. So I'm like, I'm just going to do some quick research. That being said, though, now that the league is going on, and I see how people are reacting with the prospects part of things, I'll be ready more on the prospect front. I watched the whole draft.
Yep. Well,
I don't know. We might have just lost your
yeah,
audio, Eric, if you want to
yeah, we
jump
did.
out and then jump back in. But I will say, like, for you being new to Dynasty baseball, it's going really well for you here in your first season. Eric, do you want to jump out and then jump back into the chat? We can't hear you anymore. I'm not sure if you can hear us, but
Oh,
oh,
We got you.
I think we got you now. You just
Yeah.
cut out there for
oh,
about 20 seconds, but yeah, no,
sorry.
all good, all good. I was just saying, I don't know if you could hear me, but clearly for your first Dynasty baseball season, things are going well. You being in third place, and we have the honor of having another top 3 team in the standings here on the pod. Kyle, why don't you introduce yourself to the league?
Yeah, great to get on camera with you guys. Looking forward to meeting the rest of the league. So originally from Santa Monica, California. So diehard Dodger fan. Had season tickets as a kid. So as you guys can see, looking at the San Jose Churros, quite a bit of Dodger representation. And Andrew, know I'm going to get Yamamoto off you eventually.
We'll see.
Same with Eric, diehard sports fan. Love college sports mostly. Went to University of Arizona, so football is a work in progress. Basketball is always pretty good. Um, Post college, worked in professional sports doing ticket sales. So worked for Major League Soccer, then New York Mets, and then 49ers brought me out to the Bay Area. So my allegiances aren't quite as crazy as Eric's, but diehard Dodgers fan, which is Southern California, diehard Niners fan, which is the Bay Area. So I definitely get my fair of shit talk, but I mean the Giants are so bad. So shout out to my guy Augie. So easy enough to be a Dodger fan over in the Bay Area. Let's see, 33, pretty much played fantasy sports since I was in like second or third grade. Used to just like go to the library and just hop on the really shitty version of ESPN back in the day. Probably done dynasty baseball for like 15 years or so.
Mhm.
Um, Hit or miss. some years better than others. Tend
That's
to
baseball.
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
tend to be a homer, which has gotten me in a lot more trouble than it's helped me out with. But loving Bach hard so far. Have two little ones, two boys, 4-year-old Duke, 2-year-old Charlie. Um, Duke named after Dodger legend Duke Snyder.
Love
So
it.
Duke
Love
Snyder,
that.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I had to get naming rights for the firstborn. So yeah, the Dodger loyalty runs deep. But no, excited to get into the podcast. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And just as a little bit of a spoiler, Kyle may have to drop off at some point. He just only has a little bit of time tonight. And I don't know if we're going to get here with Kyle. So I actually want to give a shout out to. I was going through. So we're only going to talk about 4 trades on tonight's episode just because it's too much. It would be too much time to spend to cover every trade, but tried to pick some of the bigger ones. An interesting note when I was kind of putting together the prep for this podcast and this trade section in particular, I was trying to be conscious of picking trades that involved a bunch of different managers. And I actually counted there are only 4 total trades that have happened in the league that don't involve one of the 4 of us, which I thought was really interesting. So I'm not going to say shout out to the 4 of us on here, but I will say the trade market has been represented pretty actively by at least one of the 4 of us being involved in a bunch of different deals this year. So kind of skipped way ahead, but wanted to mention that while Kyle was on here.
We'll be hearing about it in puff pieces, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, just because I'm the only one that posts in there doesn't mean that I'm over posting. I think that everybody else needs to step up how much they're using the Puff Pieces channel. But I digress there. So
I got nothing to puff right now.
I will say I do try for every 10 puff pieces I post to post one complaint train about one of my players so that it slightly balances out a little bit. But
Yeah, I'm too superstitious. I just have a feeling that my first puff piece post, the guy's gonna go out for the season the next week. So
no, I get it.
I'll leave that up to you.
See, so I run like 3 other Dynasty leagues, and I have the puff pieces and complaint train channels as a staple in all my leagues. And it's interesting that some leagues, like nobody will use puff pieces. Other leagues, they're quite popular. So it's always fun to like see if people like those channels or not. But anyway, we're gonna get into a couple things that people asked to hear about on this podcast. So the first one is kind of standings and monthly kicker recaps. So quick overview of the first half standings. Just to give you a list of the people that are in playoff position right now. And first is Ryan, second is Kyle, third Eric, fourth Mark, fifth Jordan, 6 Steve, 7 I think is Brady, Mississippi Pinecone. Sorry, I always mix the 2 of those guys up. And then 8th in the final wild card spot, I guess you could call it, is my team right now. So I guess well done to those top 8 teams. I would say that the top 3 teams, which again 2 are represented here with Eric and Kyle, are really kicking ass. So curious to see if those teams will keep it up over the second half and down the stretch. But without further ado, we wanted to cover, based on I think Ryan requested this, biggest surprise in the standings and biggest disappointment. So Eric and I will go first. Biggest surprise, I took that to mean like a team that's doing really well that maybe you weren't expecting to be doing quite as well at the beginning of the year. I can lead us off. Hopefully I don't steal your thunder here, Eric. But my pick was the Augusta Green Jackets, which is Jordan's team. And I have a couple reasons for that. So I was looking at his roster, and after Corbin Carroll, that's his most expensive contract, the next 5 most expensive contracts on his team, I would say, are probably underperforming expectations. So that's Jackson Merrill, who he has at $46, Ozzie Albies at $28, Vinny Pasquantino at $27, Luis Robert at $25, and Aaron Nola at $25. Which I thought was really interesting that 5 of his 6 most expensive contracts you would probably find on underperformer lists in fantasy baseball this year, and yet his team is still comfortably in a playoff position here. So that was one reason. I would say the reason that he is doing well is kind of the antithesis of that, which is he has a handful of really nice cheap contracts that are really helping him. So Gleyber Torres is one on a three-year $3 deal. Nate Eovaldi is on a 3-year $5 deal. Yandy Diaz 2 years $6, and then the talk of the All-Star break, Mr. Jacob Misiorowski, who's still pre-arb as a prospect eligible player on a $4 salary. That's been a really nice development for Jordan, and I'm sure he will probably be under contract for the rest of his career. So that was my biggest pleasant surprise. Eric, I don't know if you were thinking a different team.
When I saw that in the message that you had sent, I didn't really go as a specific team thing. I thought it was more of like a surprise of like
Sure.
kind of like league in general. So on that front, what really interested me is that there's a couple teams at the top that are far and beyond, like seem to be a little bit better than everybody. This is at the start. And at the bottom, there's a few teams at the bottom that have made decisions to sell their good pieces and stuff to rebuild, get some assets for future years. But everybody in the middle, around 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I did not think that they were going to be so close, and it was going to be 4 could go to 12 in 1 week. It
Yeah.
is so, well, maybe not 1 week, but a couple wins here, a couple wins there, and everybody, it could just flip all over the place. So I was really more surprised of the how much hard it's going to be to make the playoffs for those, like from 5 to 12, let's say. It seems like it's a little bit, let's 12 has what, they're 35 and a half games back, which is Rocky Mountain vibes, but well, maybe that's a little bit too much for them. There's Modesto Nuts could make it, Andrew Yu with Frisco, like it's just, I'm surprised. I thought it would be half the league up top and a couple teams battling, and then the rest was at the bottom battling for whoever was going to get those picks and stuff. But I'm really surprised about the teams in the middle, how he could flip no problem. Just so easy. That's my biggest surprise, anyways.
Yeah,
Being new to the dynasty part of things.
to your point, in theory, there are only two, they'd be extreme weeks, but 2 weeks really separating the 4th seed and the 11th seed. You know, in
Yep.
theory, if one of those guys like went 2-22 and the other guy went 22-2, they would, they would move past each other in the standings, which kind of underscores your point about how much parity there is right in the middle of the standings. So, good call
Which
out.
makes me not comfortable where I'm at right now.
Well, you're one of the powerhouses, I would say, up in the top 3.
Well, it's anyways, we'll see how it all goes. I'm superstitious, like Kyle said, so we're good.
I
So,
mean, that's truly the crazy part about fantasy baseball, especially once NFL season comes on. I mean, I have my first NFL draft this weekend.
it's
Feel like that's
early.
when
Early.
Wow.
it's a complicated dynasty league.
Okay.
Slow draft. So another story for another day. But
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like August, September, like the true dog days, is truly when we start to see the teams who like actually are focused setting their lineups every day versus the ones who are kind of bowing out.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
So, on the other side, biggest disappointment, maybe an underperformer, if you have a different direction that you took it. Andrew and Kyle, what do you guys think? Andrew, I'll go to you first.
I probably was leading Brad's team. Just when you have guys like Machado, Tatis, Soto on your team, you kind of expect that lineup to hold its own no matter what. I mean, the bats look good. The pitching, he's been kind of hurt by all the injuries, but I mean, I still thought that would have been one of the better teams coming into the year.
Kyle, what do you
shout
think?
out shout out Nate for giving the new guy the way to shit on the other teams.
He always gives it to me too, so it's fine.
Well,
Can
You
tell
know.
who the favorites are. I see you, Eric.
all right.
So
We'll talk about this
we'll
as the
take,
podcast goes on here. I tried to mix up who's getting the positive takes and who's getting the negative Nancy takes here.
fair. So, I mean, I feel like I need to address Moose Jaw. Like, of course, shout out Darcy for taking over an orphan team and completely redoing it. I was taking a look at the OG team that was drafted, though. And I mean, I was a beneficiary of a decent amount, but just looking at the like the period one, Mookie, Joe Ram, Trey Turner has been awesome this year. James Wood, Trout, he has Skeens as well. So I mean, he's definitely been doing some work, definitely with the Churros to rebuild the team. But just sad to see a team that was just that built to win right away just dip out and then do a complete 180. But shout out to Darcy for really holding strong. Um, Say another one too that I really liked coming out of the draft was my guy Augie with Modesto. Just thought he had a super solid team. He's had a ton of injuries, but I mean, pretty older in terms of like he has Seager, he has Correa over there, and just like hasn't quite put it together. Of course, lots of injuries, but I can definitely see his team making a run.
Yeah, I would echo that. I like Augie. I like a lot of players that Augie has, and he's one of the teams that I'm nervous about passing my team. I'm definitely not comfortable sitting in eighth place. But with that, we'll keep things moving and just give a quick shout out to our first half of season monthly kicker winners for the different categories, which if you ever want to check what month we're on, what category is being competed for. I know Andrew and I don't do the best job of announcing that live, but I'm sure you guys can understand life just sometimes gets in the way. But we are keeping track of who's winning the different categories. And Andrew, why don't you give us the quick recap?
Yeah, so April was ERA, which Kyle took that one down. May was stolen bases. Savannah Bananas Mark took that one. June was K's, or pitching K's, which Eric took that. And then July is home runs. Eric's currently leading by 16 home runs.
Yeah, I think Eric's got that one wrapped up.
Yeah.
Like it's a huge lead, which is
Looking
unreal.
like he's going back to back.
So monthly kicker winners well represented here on episode 2 also.
He's already got 12 home runs this week, or this matchup versus me.
Sorry.
Crazy.
My team stinks. It's fine.
All right, so now to be fair, we're going to go to standings predictions here at the roughly halfway point of the season. And Eric and I are going to be negative for a second and pick one team that's currently in the playoffs who we think is in danger of ultimately missing the playoffs. Eric, I'll let you lead off.
Okay, well, this was a hard one for me because it's like it could go either way. Same as what I was talking about earlier with the standings. Everybody is, are you going to go for it? Are you going to stay pat? Or are you going to trade out, and try to get some future players and prospects and stuff? So I actually picked your team, Nate. I picked yours because I think you're on the cusp of either going way ahead or selling what you can, but not selling all your stars, selling some to make your team still competitive, but making it really good for the future years. And in my opinion, that might not push you high enough. Again, it's a flip a coin thing, right? Like, no, you don't know who's going to do what, and I can't read your mind. I'm not sure how you're going to handle this and all this stuff, but I'm thinking your team is built okay. Um, some a couple pieces that you can get rid of that are older or bad salaries and bad contracts, or because you
Yep.
never know, and just get some younger blood in there and make you really competitive for future years. And that being said, you're what, 10 points out of like second and third, so uh, it's hard to pick who's going to not make it out of all these teams. Could be me. I could go on a slump 0-12 and be out of the playoffs in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's really hard to answer that question. I read it when you said it to me. I'm like, oh man, this is not good. I don't
No,
know how to
I mean,
really answer this.
I think your pick is on point. Spoiler alert, I also had the same answer, and not just to be like taking humble pie publicly, but for actual reasons. So I was looking at the category standings, which are separate from the actual record standings. And first things first, my offense is bottom three. Now, part of that is because I fielded an incomplete offense for a lot of the first half, like intentionally. I was just carrying a ton of pitchers. Um, but even still, like now that my offense is fully healthy, I don't think that it is a top half of the league offense. So that's one reason. The second reason, when I take a look at my own team is even though there's a lot of good players, I don't think there are enough carrying talents to hide my category punts. Like I'm totally punting saves. I wasn't trying to punt hitter strikeouts in OBP, but clearly based on the results of the first half of the season, those are empty categories for me, at least against the actual competitive teams. And I love having guys like Cal Raleigh on my team and Trey Turner, but given how deep the league is with 16 teams, I just don't think that two really good bats is enough to cover, punting 2 to 3 different categories. And I would say certainly my pitching is fine. Like it would be totally fine to compete with any playoff team, but not on offense. And I don't have enough carrying bats to really hide those categories that I'm weak in on offense. And then the third reason is kind of similar to what you pointed out initially, which is I don't know how willing I'm going to be to move off of future talent to go for it in 2025. I think my team is a really interesting case because I have a lot of ammo to add to it depending on what the seller's market looks like, come the trade deadline. But I don't know how much I actually am interested in that because I actually like a lot of the young pieces that I have in my farm. So I think I could go either way. And to be truthful with you, you said you don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I think it totally depends on how the trade market shapes out, which I still don't feel like I have a great read on that because I mentioned we've had a lot of trades, but when you look back at the fact that the league's been active for 3.5, 4 months now, there really hasn't been a lot of trades. So there's not really a lot to read the trade market on yet. So all of those uncertainties made it easy to pick my team, combined with the fact that I'm in the final playoff spot right now. So I agree with you.
Your team just seemed to be the most logical. Go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it next year. Like
Right.
it was just it was a pretty tough question. I pondered on it all day. I didn't know
No, I
who
mean
to pick out of all those.
I totally agree with your answer right now. So I think that you were pretty on point. But on the other side of the discussion, how about one team that's currently outside of the playoffs who we think has a decent chance of making it? Kyle, what do you think?
So I'm going to double up on Augie with the Nuts. Think he's just had so many injuries. Glasnow was gone for a while. I mean, just looking at his roster, I mean, Seager, Correa, I mean, they're very much injury prone, but if they can stay healthy, I mean, I think he has a pretty solid team. I think he can go on a good run.
Andrew, who do you got?
I mean, I think Augie is the only choice here, to be honest. I don't think my team has what it takes to get into the playoffs, and everybody below me, their team's just missing something, whether it's arms or their bats just aren't good enough. Like my bats are, I can't beat any of these like top end teams to get into the playoffs. So I think Augie's the only answer here.
So I'll go contrarian then. I'll take Sugarland.
I'm glad that you said it. I was going to point it out if you didn't.
I
Yeah,
thought
I mean,
about them, but
I was thinking about mentioning him first, but I mean, just looking at his roster, I mean, he has Ellie and he has Aaron Judge and he has Buxton, who all of
yeah,
a sudden is just
MVP
insane.
caliber. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
my only thing with his team is he just doesn't have the arms. Like, yeah, he gets Snell back at some point, but other than that, there's not much to work with unless Sandy takes a turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does have the best offense in the league by standing categories and by quite a bit. So he was the one team that I was looking at, like, relative to where he's at in the actual standings. He is technically, and the way that these are calculated, it's interesting because they're basically giving a weighting of 1 to 14 points per category. But he's 5th overall in terms of category standings. But that's with a number 1 overall offense and an 11th overall pitching staff, which it gets him a lot of points in category standings. It's very tricky to manage a roster like that in head-to-head matchups because, of course, offense is only 50% of the scoring. So you could go a perfect 6-0 on offense and still potentially not win the matchup.
I mean,
Which
he
is
does
interesting.
have a ton of good relievers, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like in baseball as a whole, this year has just been a weird reliever year.
Yep.
So, like, I can very much understand his draft strategy of trying to get those ratios for it. I mean, you have to think, I mean, there's some top names. I mean, Hader, Duran, Batista, etc., who
Yep.
they'll all figure it out. They'll give them the save holds category for most weeks, and they can put on a good run for it. I mean, he needs what, 2, 3 really good starts to get those ratios.
Yeah. Good shout out on Brian.
It's just the hard thing when you're rolling out Sandy every week this year.
Yeah.
I'm just
Trust
reading
me.
a status
I
alert.
got him.
Sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
What up? No, after you.
I was changing the subject, so go ahead and finish your thought.
I was just gonna say I roster him in a Cats league, and he's been destroying me all year.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, the first time you don't play him, he's gonna make you regret not playing him. That's the problem with him.
I just traded him, so we'll see.
Who is
He'll
it?
probably
Okay.
be Sandy.
Oh, Sandy. Yeah, I'm holding on to him in the one league that I still have him. He's annoying though.
I
I was just
traded
gonna share minor news, like a live complaint train here that Ha-Sung Kim left the game with an injury again. I feel like he gets hurt every single game. It's pretty annoying. But anyway, we're gonna move on to our next segment here, which is best and worst contracts so far. So we're gonna start with the positive side of things. One guy from each of you, Andrew and Eric, that you feel the contract is aging well here about halfway through our first season. Eric, you can lead us off.
Okay, well, I'll give a shout out to the Joe Ryan contract, which was 3 years for 18. He's been playing awesome. It doesn't seem like the Twins are going to trade him. So
Welcome,
I
Nate.
love that. Pardon
I said you're welcome, Nate.
me?
Yeah.
And then on the other side, Brian Wu as well for 3 years for 17. That's a really good contract as well. So for me, it was a toss up between Cal Raleigh and PCA. So both of them have been outstanding all year. So on that front, I mean, PCA is 3 years, $10. Like, that's just insane. And then Cal Raleigh's 3 years, 15. So that's almost as insane. So if I have to pick, I'm gonna pick.
There's such different kinds of players. That's a tough
know.
pick. That is a very
I
tough
know.
pick. It's like one of those things too where if I offered Darcy Cal Raleigh for PCA, I bet he would turn it down. And if he offered me PCA for Cal Raleigh, I might be inclined to turn it down. So it's toss
Yeah.
up for sure.
I'm gonna take Cal Raleigh's contract, and the reason behind that is because he was like I think I told you, Nate, today. I was going between Langeliers and Cal Raleigh in all my leagues, and obviously I picked the wrong one. So yeah, so I'm gonna go with Cal Raleigh's contract. I think you're set with him for a while. I don't think that this is a fluke. I think he's going to keep going. I don't know if he'll hit 60 home runs every year,
No, I don't think
but
so.
he's still going to have some power, and then it'll help you a lot with that.
Yeah, good shout.
I'm not
Andrew, who do
gonna
you
lie.
think?
I thought it was the worst contract.
You thought Cal
Like, I
Raleigh
thought-
was at the
No,
beginning of the year?
I thought I was picking the worst one.
Okay.
So I'm not.
Well, you could
fair
take the
here.
low-hanging fruit and talk about the other guy that Eric
Yeah.
mentioned, because I think if I was picking, I probably would have said PCA.
Yeah, I mean he's been unreal. I mean they both have. I was trying to look for somebody different.
Which, you and Kyle could flip here because Kyle's the guy that traded PCA away, which who would have thought that that trade would age the way it did? I certainly did not think so. But
I mean,
man,
I'll give a little bit of my like insight on why I wanted to do the trade.
yeah,
Okay.
So the probably like 2 or 3 days before, I traded Darcy already for Joe Ram, and that put me just square in the I'm gonna go for it this year
right.
mindset. So PCA was like one of the 2 or 3 guys that like I just had to have for the draft. Like I knew obviously strikeouts was gonna be an absolute killer, but
Yeah,
like I mean I also like drafting players who are fun to watch. And obviously, I mean, his center field skills are incredible. So I knew that Darcy was already extremely trigger happy to trade. And um, I mean, obviously, I love my Dodgers. So the fact that Mookie was right there, thought I could buy low on Mookie. Trout was still in on the IL, but Trout is Trout. I was like, all right, like I had a feeling that PCA eventually would just quiet down a little bit, but I mean, he's just keeps soaring for it. But really, my mindset was more defensive for that. Tough losing PCA, but I knew that if I wasn't going to trade for Mookie and Trout, then someone else was.
yeah.
So that was the true mindset on why I did it.
No, I
But
I respect that because in my other leagues, like where I'm going for it, there is an element of not only am I making my team better, but you're in effect playing keep away from your competition. So I agree with that mindset.
yeah, and going even more off on a tangent, feel like my whole philosophy with just fantasy sports, especially Dynasty, is like I don't want to be in the middle. Like I want to make moves that either get me in first place or I completely miss the playoffs.
Yeah, sure.
I got a contract here. He got hot right before the All-Star break, and he's still hot right now, and it's Cedane Rafaela.
Yeah.
$7, 3 years. He's now looking like a elite player. Actually ripping the cover off the ball, stealing bases, elite defense like PCA.
Yeah,
He's
kind
like
of
a
like cut from the same cloth of PCA.
he's like a poor man's
Yeah.
PCA. So it's not as like big of a deal right now, but it looks like a great contract.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
Yeah, hard shout.
All right, so on the other side, I'm going to lead off with one of the guys who I think's contract is aging very poorly. It's one of my own, Michael Harris, the second. He is the third most expensive contract on my team, and I looked, he's the 18th most expensive contract among all outfielders. I posted the complain train tweet the other day. He has the worst OPS in all of baseball among qualified hitters, driven by a 237 OBP, which is like abysmally bad. I was actually just showering when I got home from the gym today, and I was literally thinking about this in the shower that Michael Harris is lucky that he signed a contract because if he didn't, he'd be in the minor leagues right now. Like he's been that bad. And frankly, a 12 home run, 20 stolen base pace, which is what he's on if he gets 600 plate appearances this year, not enough to compensate for how bad he's been. So 3 years, $32, I think is what I signed him for. Yeah, that one's aging very poorly. Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, I'd say on my side, I mean, obviously, no one could have expected the huge blockbuster trade, but man, that Rafi Devers experiment so far with the Giants has just been brutal. So, I mean, obviously, he's a superstar hitter, so he'll figure it out. I mean, obviously, going into the draft, there's no way that Biscuits, I think, has him. Someone might need to fact check me, but
No, you're right.
um, yeah, it's definitely a tough aging contract, but I mean, at least he'll get his first base eligibility.
Yeah, it's interesting because he's been bad since he went to the Giants, but it's funny because when you look up at his full year stats, he's still got a 384 OBP. He must have been really good with the Sox before he got traded
He
to still be
started off
rocking.
horrible, then he heated up, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah, he had like 3 or 4 weeks. I mean, didn't he get a home run against the Yankees in his last at bat?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
like right when they announced the trade. So
Yeah.
So since I thought I was picking a worse contract, I'm just going to throw this in here.
Yeah.
One, I don't believe in paying this position this much money.
I know
And
who you're
he's
going to
pretty much
say.
has been horrible all year, and that's Adley
Yeah,
Rushman.
I knew that's who you're going with. I thought about picking him too, and I actually, to not, I don't want to say be fair to Ryan, but in the same vein as Kyle's pick, I did give a look to Austin Riley, who I think is he on your team, Kyle? I didn't ultimately pick him because I wanted to give him a fair shake. I know he's hurt right now, and honestly, it's kind of similar to Rafi Devers, where when you look at the full year numbers, they're not that bad. And I think mid-30s is a fair price to pay for even like a top 5 third baseman. So, what I was just, thought about Adley, thought about Austin Riley, Devers. You could fit into the same mold as Riley, so kind of all.
Jordan Alvarez.
Yeah, but I'm
Yeah,
not. He's one of those guys I'm not worried about. Like next year, I
Yeah.
think he's back, so that's why I didn't really
No,
pick
I
him.
agree.
I don't know. I
It's
have Jordan in 2 of my leagues, and I mean I'm a little pessimistic. I just think it's the knees are just so tough. He's had knee issues his entire career.
At least it's a hand now. I mean, not that that's what you
Yeah.
want, but at least it's not the knees again.
Yeah.
I had 5 players that I was not touching in any of my leagues,
Let's
and
hear 'em.
Alvarez was one of them.
Who are the others? Do you remember?
I'll wait because I might have to swing something for one of them now.
Okay, fair enough.
We'll wait on that front, but I will post it eventually here. So, yeah. But Alvarez was one of them. I'm so scared of his injuries. And when he's good, though, like when he's hot, oh, man, he's
He's one of the best
hitters.
hitters in baseball. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's one of the best. He's an elite power bat.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean especially with the Crawford boxes too.
Yeah.
Kyle, I know
All
you
right,
have to
guys.
run, so yeah,
Okay.
thanks for joining us. This was a lot of fun, and you can tune in to hear our trade coverage here when I
Oh, I
post the
will.
episode.
I'll have the popcorn ready. All right, see you guys. Great
See you.
catching
Kyle.
up.
Yep, see you, Kyle. All right, so moving on to our trade breakdown segment. We actually covered one of the 4 trades, so I'll actually bring that one up first just to put it out there if there are any other thoughts that you guys have on it. So it was Darcy giving up Mookie Betts, who is on a 1-year $61 contract. Mike Trout, who's on a 1-year $24, along with full cap space coverage for those two combined, which was $85 in cap space. And Kyle gave up Pete Crow Armstrong, who was on a 3-year $10 contract. So Kyle gained $10 in cap space. Darcy lost $10 in cap space in this deal. I think we covered it mostly at length, but any other thoughts from you guys on this trade before we move to the other 3?
I mean,
think, sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
after you, Eric.
To me, it's Darcy going all in trade for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think Betts would be not as good. Like he's usually way better than he is right now. So it's kind of fluctuating a little bit. I didn't know he was a Dodgers fan, so that kind of helps a little bit more on that front. But if Trout stays healthy and Betts plays good or even better than what he's playing right now, I know PCA is awesome, but those 2 guys will help him. He takes up 2 spots in the lineup. So this to me is I'm going for a trade compared to a futures trade.
I mean, to me, like it made sense at the time. Like you probably thought Pete Crow was just hot, like, and maybe
I
he
agree.
couldn't sustain it.
This was back
And
on
I
May
mean-
19th.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we now have the benefit of 2 more months of PCA
Yeah.
keeping this up.
For sure. So like at that point, I understand the trade. Now he might regret it.
Yeah.
Makes sense for Darcy because he's not in it this year, so rostering guys on 1-year deals makes no sense for him to have around.
All right, so I mentioned I only put together 4 trades for us to talk about. I know there were other trades that were, big moves or even arguably bigger than some that I listed here. So sorry we don't have enough time to cover all of them, but I did try to pick, a representation among a bunch of different managers in the league, but also like some consequential trades or trades that lead to interesting discussion points here. So the next trade, possibly as big in terms of the names being exchanged, which was Eric giving up Gunnar Henderson, who's on a 3-year $67 deal, and Roman Anthony, who is obviously prospect eligible, $21 salary, so he'll be headed into arbitration this offseason. He sent those guys to Andrew in return for Spencer Strider, who is on a 3-year $35 deal, Jackson Holiday, who's 3 years $30, Randy Arozarena, who is 3 years $18, Justin Martinez, 3 years $12, rest in peace to his elbow, and then $7 in cap space. So net effect of that trade on cap space, Eric gained $14, Andrew lost $14. So maybe not so much insights on the value exchange on both sides, but if you guys want to give a little look behind the scenes on exactly how you guys arrived at this trade that ended up getting accepted with your negotiations, that would be cool.
It was a lot of back and forth for sure. I wanted to get rid of Gunner, and he did not budge. He wanted Anthony, Anthony, Anthony. No matter what I put in there, Anthony was in the trade. I didn't want to trade him, but I had to do something. I needed to bolster a little bit of my team in different spots. I thought I'm always been a Strider fan. I know this year is struggling a little bit, but I've been concentrating a lot on my pitching. So getting Strider and Martinez, which without the injury, I thought he was going to be the closer over there.
Yep.
I needed to put somebody over at second base, so that's why I got Holiday. I think that hopefully he's going to be better on that front. He's kind of struggling a little bit right now, but he's not as bad as I was hoping he wouldn't be, type deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Randy Arozarena, I needed some help. Rosarena,
He's
sorry.
been good, too.
He's been good. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's been good.
He's been good.
He's been really
Yeah.
good for our format this year.
He's what, 15, 18?
Yeah,
like
almost a
350
2020 player
OBP.
already.
Yeah, so I gave up a big salary player, and I know that Anthony's going to go on to arbitration, and he's eventually going to be a big salary player as well. We'll see how it all turns out at the end, but again, like I said, for me, it was my first kind of salary cap draft. So going all that front on, I wanted to go in for Ellie De La Cruz, and then when he went up over that, I said, well, I got to pivot. That's where I went to Gunnar Henderson, and then I went, now kind of stuck. I didn't like the way he was playing. Never been a huge fan. I figured I gotta do something. So I reached out, and Mr. Andrew, we made a pretty good trade, in my opinion, anyways.
Okay, so I was going to ask that after you both gave your thoughts. Are you happy with the deal now, a couple months later? So it sounds like you're still happy with it, even after losing J Mart. Andrew, what are your thoughts on the deal, and are you still happy with it?
So I mean, at the time I was making the deal because I thought my roster was, missing a big bat in order to compete. And then obviously I'm a Sox fan, so I just wanted Roman Anthony. I wanted to share somewhere. And so I went after him. Jackson Holiday was pissing me off at the time.
This was an April 20th trade. You gave the kid a short leash.
Yep, I gave him a short leash. And Henderson was hurt at the time, right? So I figured it was or he just came back.
Just came back. He missed the first week of the season, I believe.
I was like, it's like a buy low candidate. Take him now while I can, because I thought he would give my team what I needed. Unfortunately, he's not having the best year, but also my team's just not really built for this year.
I will say in Gunners, or in defense of your side of the deal, again, when we're talking about contracts that age poorly, he's another guy that's like high dollar, but I'm not hitting the panic button because I think he'll be fine next year. Is my thought.
I'm perfectly happy with having Henderson at 67.
Yeah. So still happy with the trade overall, Andrew?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think if I didn't do that deal, my team's in a different spot than it is right now.
For what it's worth, as a neutral third party, I'm looking at this trade even still, and not thinking like, oh man, one of them definitely got the better side here. So I think the trade has actually aged pretty nicely.
I think maybe my team would be a little bit better if I didn't do it,
Right.
just because of the way those specific players are playing right now, and obviously Roman not coming up for a little bit after. But even if I didn't, my team would still be right in the middle of the pack.
Yep.
And on that front, I'm going to say that I think my team got a little bit better because of that trade with the way all these players are doing. I know that JM is hurt, but he's still young. We'll see how. You never know with these Tommy John injuries. I don't know how long they're going to be out for, but um, you know, we'll see. Time will tell. I don't think it's a 1 year trade. I think it's more like a 2, 3 year trade at least, and then the his guys are young. A couple of my guys are older. So, well, Randy is anyways. So
Yeah.
we'll go from there. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, agreed. So I'm gonna jump around a little bit here because I'd like to end with I guess a larger trade, so to speak. So the next one that I'm gonna highlight here is one between two guys that are not here on the podcast tonight. This is one that I picked that covers that category. So Brian gave up Cam Caminiti, who's on a 2-year pre-arb, or sorry, not 2-year, $2 pre-arb contract as a prospect for the Atlanta Braves. He also gave up his second-round pick, and in return, Jordan, the Augusta Green Jackets, gave up Mitch Keller, who is on a $6 2-year deal. So Jordan gained $4 in cap space, and Brian, the Sugarland Space Cowboys, lost $4 in cap space. This was, consequential enough. I know Cam Caminiti is doing really well. I think he's pitching in high A. I could be wrong about that, but I believe he's pitching in high A, and I know he's doing well this year. So an interesting case of potentially what the deadline could look like as like a buyer-seller kind of move here. And Mitch Keller, I think, is doing well himself. He's got an ERA, I think, right around 3.6 this year. And I saw today, because all the trade rumors are swirling around, and me being a Pirates fan, of course, I'm reading up on, whether or not these Pirates are going to be traded, where they could be traded to. Long story short, I saw that in the 5 or 6 starts leading into the All-Star break, Mitch Keller's ERA was like 1.96, so he's been especially good as of late. But not the biggest trade, but again, interesting that it could be a little bit of a preview of what we see in our league's trade deadline. I'm not saying that Jordan is a seller or that Brian is a buyer necessarily, but this is what a buyer-seller move could potentially look like. Any thoughts on this deal from either of you two?
I like the Jordan side of this. I think Mitch Keller is a great pitcher. It's going to help him a lot. It's going to fill up a lot of his categories. Brian, again, it's hard to say. Are we rebuilding? Are we not rebuilding?
Brian got Keller.
Yeah,
right?
so actually interesting because Augusta Green Jackets is in 5th, and Sugarland Space Cowboys are in 11th. But actually, opposite of what you said, where Brian appears to be buying here, he got Mitch Keller and Jordan. No, I would see. That's why I'm hesitant to say buyer seller move, because it's interesting. The guy that's in a playoff position got the prospect and the pick, and the guy outside the playoffs got the big league arm that can help right now. It's a really interesting deal.
To me, it looks more like Jordan was just trying to, like, he's got plenty of arms. He's going to have some coming off IL.
Yeah.
So to me, it looks like he was more just trying to create the roster spot.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't look too much into the specifics of their roster, but I'm actually glad that I'm glad that you mixed that up, Eric, because I think that's what makes the trade really interesting, is the fact that
you would have expected
the opposite, right? So
yeah.
So I don't know,
Yeah,
Brian.
no, it's a very interesting trade, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Brian or Jordan, if you're listening and would like to chime in, feel free in the podcast channel to chime in on, maybe what you were trying to do with this deal, given that the two of you are in, I guess, opposite of what you would expect in terms of standings positions relative to the playoff pool. The last trade that we're going to cover here, not a huge blockbuster trade, but interesting on a couple fronts. One is that one of the players involved was previously involved in a trade before this deal, But here's the deal. It's Eric gave up Andrew Abbott, who's on a 1-year, $1 deal. He was just picked up off of the free agency pool. And my second round pick, so the second round pick that is associated with where the Rome Emperors finished this year. In return, Zach gave up Jazz Chisholm, who's on a 2-year, $40 deal, and covered his entire salary with $40 in cap space. So net effect of the trade, Eric gains $1 in cap space. Zach loses $1 in cap space. Eric, do you want to walk through? So the deal that the deal that I kind of alluded to was where I gave up Andrew Abbott and that same second round pick that was in this trade for Wilyer Abreu and your third round pick, Eric. So maybe talk through how you were valuing Andrew Abbott around the time that you and I made the trade, and then when you made this trade with Zach to get Jazz Chisholm.
I think that Zach he really wanted Andrew Abbott when we made this trade. I wanted a bat. I needed a bat to help me on the home run front. I didn't know if he was the best guy to go get because of his salary, but he was coming off an injury. I've seen him get hot, which I think he kind of did in like 2 weeks right before the All-Star break. We're not talking about the home run derby here. I I did not want to trade Abbott, but I had some arms that I could have let go, and he was the one that I guess since he wanted it, I had to. You got to give to get, right?
Right.
So I thought it was a pretty fair deal on my front. It gave me what I wanted, and it gave him what he wanted. I mean, he can resign Abbott to a longer contract. But if you look at it, it's like if I traded Chisholm for Abreu and a second
Yep.
and a third,
And
right? In theory,
Trevor Story.
yeah, yeah. But I mean,
He's the
if
guy I
we
left
go
out,
through
but yeah.
that, yeah, I didn't think that trade was very good on my end. Now it looks okay. Abreu is not bad, but Story's been pretty good, so I'm not complaining at all. He's my boy, I guess. We'll leave it at that. But I'm happy with that trade. I actually talked to him again and tried to see if he wanted to move Abbott back to me. And it would have been kind of weird for the same guy to be traded 3 times, which probably couldn't. So yeah, so we kind of just dropped that as we went. But yeah, I'm okay with that trade. I didn't mind. I'll deal with Chaz after the year and see what I want to do on that front because of his salary.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm good on that. I was okay.
Any other thoughts, Andrew, on this last trade?
No.
Okay. All right, that brings us to the last planned segment for the podcast, which is going to be prospect risers and fallers. And hey, Kyle, if you're still listening, I did have you set to give a prospect riser here. You know, a positive shout out for the new guy on the podcast, but I'll cover that. So the guy that I picked for prospect riser. Now, I was thinking about this from a number of angles. Like, you could pick probably the most talked about prospect riser this year, which is Connor Griffin, I would say. And I would love to do that as a Pirate. I would love to do that as a Pirates fan. Well, you said the other guy that I'm actually going to talk about, because I'm going to take this literally and say the guy that has risen up the ranks the most this year, because Luis Pena, I think, is a consensus top 10 prospect on all fantasy lists at this point. At least I haven't seen a list where he's outside the top 10. And he was pretty much consensus outside the top 200 entering this year. So to me, I don't know if there's a prospect that's risen more than Luis Pena. I'm not sure who it is. Please let me know. But he's the guy that I picked. So I pulled a couple things here. I pulled Imaginary Brick Wall, Michael Halpern's latest write-up on Luis Pena, where he has Luis Pena ranked in his top. He has him number 4 among all prospects, and that was in his June write-up. He's actually coming out with an updated July prospect rankings later this week, so curious if Luis Pena will move at all. Probably not by a lot if he does. But here's what he wrote about Luis Pena. He said, Luis Pena's explosive swing I couldn't get out of my head. It's led to a power explosion with 5 home runs in 35 games, and it comes with elite contact and speed. He had 24 steals through those 35 games. He hits the ball hard. He doesn't have any ground ball issues. He pulls it. He's the total package. Now, I will say, so Luis Pena is 18 years old. He's in single A right now. I went to Fangraphs just to see how he's been doing since this write-up. Now, Halpern mentioned that this was through 35 games that he had 5 homers and 24 steals. Luis Pena is now up to 62 games, so closing in on double the sample size. He only has 1 more home run. He's at 6 total on the year. He does have 38 stolen bases, so he's kept up the stolen base pace handily with 38 total. And but the power has fallen off just a little bit. Only 1 more home run to accompany those 14 more steals in what would be 27 more games. So maybe something to look out for. I'm certainly not panicked or nervous or anything like that because this kid is 18 years old. He's still putting up great numbers. He has a 9% walk rate, which is pretty good, a 13% strikeout rate, which is amazing, and he is running a 383 OBP. So all that good for a 145 weighted runs created plus, so about 45% better than the league average where he's playing. So I don't really know what else there is to say. I think he's a really exciting prospect, still very young, but he is performing at the level that he's at and probably as one of the youngest players at that level. So shout out to Ryan for getting him for, I think it was $1. I got Luis Pena, just to give myself a tiny pat on the back. I got Luis Pena in every other Dynasty league that I'm in super cheap this offseason. This was the one league that I regrettably did not get Luis Pena because, as we already mentioned, he was ranked outside the top 200 prospects coming into the year. So I was like, you know what? I already have him in every other league. I'm not going to pay $2 for a prospect ranked that low, even though I do like him as a breakout this year. Damn it, I should have done that. So Luis Pena is my pick for Prospect Riser. Any honorable mentions before we move to you guys for Prospect Fallers?
I mean, Jacob Misarowski, like he's
Yeah.
kind of took some tumbles in the last couple of years on prospect rankings, and now look
Definitely.
what he's doing. Other than that, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, fair enough. I thought about Miz also. Nick Kurtz was ranked really high coming into this year, but definitely has improved his stock. I left both of them off of this for the same reason that they're in the show. But definitely good shout outs.
I like him a lot. Eduardo Quintero.
Yeah, no. What's he doing this year? Is he like performing pretty well?
14 home runs, 33 stolen bases.
Yeah, so he's doing well. Okay. All right, so we're gonna go to the other side. Prospect Faller. Andrew, do you have one locked and loaded?
This was kind of hard. Like, I feel like there hasn't been like a big name prospect that's like taken a tumble too hard. I mean, I was gonna say Thomas Harrington. Like he was like top 50, 60 by most people now. I mean, RotoWire's got him 300 now. He's got a 5 ERA in AAA.
Yeah. I can think of a couple off the top of my head.
You can go Kobe Mayo. I mean, he's not even on prospect rankings anymore, I don't think, at this point, but he's been
That's a good one because I kind of forgot about Kobe Mayo. He was like consensus top 15, really probably top 10 on most lists coming into this year, and I haven't heard anything about Kobe Mayo this year.
I have because he's on my team.
Anybody else?
I think that's all I got right now.
All right, Eric, who do you have?
Me, this is a guy that I was kind of looking at and I wanted to get, and Savannah Bananas got him. I'm going to talk about Brandon Sproat a little bit. He was in the top 30 coming into 2025, and he had outstanding stuff. Everything was great. Now, this is not the last 3 starts because he's been really good on his last 3 starts, but he dominated in high A, he dominated in double A. He like awesome stuff. But then when he got to triple A, the end of last year, he had 7 games where he did not do very well. And then this year is continuing. He's got a 6.02 ERA in Syracuse, and he's only got a 16.6% strikeout rate and a 10.7% walk rate. Now, the walk rate is about normal, or in the league average, but the strikeout rate is way below the 23.6%. So according to what I was checking up and stuff, his stuff hasn't changed very much. He's been his second stint in AAA. All the hitters are teeing off on him. He's allowing so much hard contact. Um, his whiff rate is over 28%. So way too much hard contact. Way too much, especially with the fastball. Um, I still like him. I don't think there's too much time to panic. But now he's not even in the top 100 right now. He fell really far off. So according to what I've been seeing, he's going to need to add another pitch, and I don't even know if he's going to stay in AAA. He's in trouble right now. So we'll see what happens. I really liked him, but I'm not even looking at him anymore for anything on that front.
No, it's crazy. This is just RotoWire, but he has Brandon Sprout ahead of Noah Schultz right now.
You know, I was going to
Really?
point out pitchers always come to mind with these big prospect rankings movers because I feel like they're moved up or moved down so quickly. So I only have one share of Noah Schultz. I haven't paid attention super closely to him this year, but I do know that generally the stock has been down on him. So I was going to mention him as an honorable for prospect faller. We're talking about fallers, but one of Brandon Sproat's teammates or teammate in the organization, I think he's still pitching at high A, but Jonah Tong, Mets pitching prospect, could be, an honorable mention for prospect riser this year. But
Yep.
yeah, pitching
He's
prospects
ranked number 2 for them right now.
stock changes so quickly. It's unbelievable.
So that I got a riser actually, Peyton Tolley for the Sox.
Yeah.
He wasn't even heard
Is
of
he
before.
even
Now he's
rostered
top
in our
50.
league?
Nope.
I didn't think so. All right.
He's been dominating.
So last question, and this kind of brings the conversation on these prospect risers and fallers full circle. And I don't know if your guys' thoughts have or have not changed, but figured it was worth asking. Now that we're halfway through the first season, not just in terms of halfway through the baseball season, but halfway through this Balk Dynasty League's first season. Has your view about how prospects are valued in our league specifically changed at all?
No, I mean, coming out of the draft, I think I said this in the first podcast where I thought, like, in the draft, the prospects were valued really high with the contracts that they were getting. I mean, I gave some pretty big contracts out to prospects. So I feel like it's kind of stayed the same for me. It's been hard to trade for them, and they're expensive. So I think the value's really high.
You're nodding your head, Eric. You tend to agree with that?
I agree with that to a certain extent. I think certain members think they're really high and value them really high. I think some are not sure. Like me, like I said earlier when we first started, this is all new to me with all these prospects. I know some, but going down like 200 prospects, that's a lot of knowledge
Yeah.
on that front. And I think some people they just, I'll move them all. We'll deal with it later type deal. Some people care about their prospects to the point where I'm not moving them. This is my future. I'll deal with what happens now. And some people do. So I agree with what Andrew's saying on that front. It's first year. Everybody's kind of blending in and see what happens. I guarantee you next year when we do this draft for the prospects, things are going to be a little bit different. And I don't think the salaries are going to be as
Well,
high.
It
They're
is
definitely going to
different
be
for the
different because
prospect.
they have assigned slot values just like the real life MLB draft. So that'll be
Good point.
a really big difference, which I'm very interested to see. I don't know that a lot of people are thinking about the value of draft picks right now relative to how much the prospect salaries are going to be, but if you compare what we have laid out as the slot values in the league constitution for the prospect draft, which is going to be phase 1 of our annual spring draft every year, it's a decent bit cheaper than what the prospects were going for in the inaugural startup draft. So I actually think that maybe as we get closer to the draft, not because partially that, but not just because we're getting closer in proximity to these guys actually being added to teams through the draft, but also through people realizing like, hey, I'm going to be able to get these higher end prospects that aren't rostered for a lower salary than I had to pay for them in the startup draft. Curious to see if that moves the value of draft picks at all, but point taken overall, Eric, and Andrew. Prospects were expensive in the inaugural startup. I haven't changed my thoughts on how they're valued. I tend to just value them the way that I value them, which is I put a little bit of a higher premium on hitting prospects than pitching prospects. I think that's pretty common. But I also view the lens of how much they're being paid in terms of their starting salary through that perspective as well, which is like, okay, Chase Burns, we think he's going to be awesome. At least I think he's going to be awesome, and I think most of the fantasy community at this point has seen him pitch in the majors, and they're like, this guy is going to be really good. That said, I have him at $14 pre-arbitration, so I think I'm going to be able to get him at a fair salary once I sign him to a 3-year extension here in a year and a half, but I don't think I'm going to be getting a big discount on him. On the other hand, Nick Kurtz, kind of one of the more expensive prospects coming out of our startup draft at $11, but now it looks like I'm going to be getting him at a freaking steal when it's time to sign him to a 3-year contract, given how good he's been. So I think prospects are still very much a hit or miss game, but I think that the upside of getting the guys that are hits, particularly on the offensive side of the game, is going to be a huge payoff for those people that have the offensive hits, just because of the way that we've structured arbitration and being able to extend these guys based on their initial salaries.
Yeah.
Yep.
Any other things of note about how prospects are valued in our format that you think are worth sharing? Okay, if not.
I'm looking forward to see how this all works out next year. Be
Yeah.
awesome. It'll be fun. It'll be
I
fun.
think I'm good.
Cool.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, this was I had a lot of fun on this episode. I think
As well.
I'll speak for Kyle since he's not here. I think he had fun too. Eric, great
Yep.
having you on. Hope that
Yep.
we can have both of you guys back on. Not sure when our next episode is going to be. Hopefully before or around the start of playoffs. Obviously, these take some time to plan and then sit down and record. So we're just doing this for fun. Happy to do it. Hope to have more of you guys that maybe we haven't met yet on the next episode, and we'll look forward to bringing that to you probably closer to the end of the fantasy regular season. So
Yeah, it's
wanted
really
to add
nice.
one-
Yeah,
I'm
go,
sorry.
go, Eric.
Just wanted to add, Nate, when we're talking this morning, remember we talked about the rookies that the minors that got drafted this year in the draft and that could make the team in August or
yeah, thank you.
whatever?
Yeah,
We
thank you
wanted
for
to do
remembering
that.
to bring that up. I asked Eric to remind me to bring this up. Andrew and I have already talked about this, and I think we're both on the same page. For the guys that got drafted last week in the 2025 MLB draft, and all years going forward, for any of those prospects who happen to be called up in the same season that they're drafted by an MLB team, what we're thinking and what we would like to do is bar those players from being able to be added or claimed. They would just remain unrostered by rule for our fantasy league so that they have a chance to pass through the phase 1 spring draft at least one time. I think that we tend to agree that that is probably the right way to give everybody a fair shake at rostering those guys. Whereas if they got called up late in the season, then they're subject to how much, cap space you have or how much fab budget you still have remaining. It's not an equal playing field. Whereas at least if we don't make them available until the spring draft, at least everybody has a chance to trade for a pick to take those guys. So that's what we're thinking. We'll probably formalize this in a league vote here shortly. But if anybody has any questions on what we mean by that, we'll be happy to elaborate, in the league votes channel.
Yeah, no, I wanted to bring that up because I was looking at stuff and I'm like, okay, so what happened if Holiday gets in place? Like, hey, I want to grab him right away. And in the Constitution, they didn't really specifically said not from this draft, right? So
Right.
no, I think I agree. I think we should not be able to do anybody that's been drafted in the same year. Baseball is the only draft that starts during the middle of the year.
Right.
Every other sport is before or after. So
The last
don't know if
guy,
there's-
the last guy that was true for was, I believe, Nolan Shonwell. I think it was last year or the year before. Don't quote me on this. It was either the year that he was drafted or the very next
It
season.
was the
I'm
was the
actually
year
going to
he
bring
was
up another guy. Garrett Crochet, I know, got promoted to the majors extremely quickly. And if you remember, he debuted as a reliever. I think it might have been the year that he was drafted. So obviously it wouldn't have been it would have been tipping anybody off back then if this was true for Crochet, given that he debuted as a reliever. But now, given the type of player that he
If you had him
is
for $1
developed
or
into,
whatever.
could you imagine if, you didn't have to draft that guy, you just had to add him for $1, and now he's turned into this super ace? So that's kind of the thinking behind why we want to crystallize that rule, but certainly we'll give everybody a chance to weigh in, and we'll make sure that we take a league vote on it.
yeah, the guy we were talking about today was Kate Anderson from Seattle. He went third overall.
He's not getting up this year.
Yeah, maybe.
There's too many arms ahead of him already.
Is he?
I think that. Yeah.
You're saying he's in the Mariners system, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you also asked me about the pitcher that the Angels drafted. Now, they are known for promoting their draftees really quickly.
Tyler Bremner.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I don't know if he goes or not. But.
He's a high school arm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's still young. They did mention that a lot, that the Angels brought their prospects up.
They do that
fast.
when they draft college players, though. They tend to bring the college bats up fast.
I remember 2 years ago there was talk about the Pirates letting Paul Skeens get his end of season work, his professional debut, up with the big league team out of the bullpen. Like, again, could you imagine if freaking Paul Skeens was passing through waivers before anybody had a chance to draft him? That would be a messy situation.
Christian Moore almost made it up last year too.
Right. So
the Angels prospect.
Andrew, anything else to share with the people before we get out of here?
We're good.
All right, cool. Well, Eric, thanks again for joining us. Kyle, shout out to you. Thanks for joining us, and we will catch you guys here in maybe a month and a half or 2 months.
All right. See you guys.
Peace.
Thanks.
Later.
Have a good one.